Good evening. Welcome to Art Matters on KFAI. I'm MJ Gilmore, filling in for Maria Morstead. Tonight we will hear an interview that I had with Ahmed Naumaan about his Fringe Festival play, Change Agent.
My name is Ahmed Naumaan, and I grew up in Pakistan. Most of my years were spent in Karachi, and I got my undergraduate degree in engineering in Karachi, and then I came to the States, to Ohio, to go to graduate school. And that's where I got my master's and PhD in engineering as well. Part of my dissertation was funded by a company in Minnesota. And so when I was nearing completion of my degree, they offered me a job. I had another job offer from California, but those folks were in a hurry, and I just wanted to do a good job finishing up my dissertation. And the folks here were willing to wait, so I said, well, I'll go to Minnesota. And I've been here ever since.
What type of engineer work do you do?
I started out in engineering, working as an engineer on various projects. And then I moved into management, and I was an engineering manager. And then I moved into academia because an opportunity arose to join the University of Minnesota. So I taught in the computer science department at the University of Minnesota for a number of years. And then another opportunity arose to go work for an online university. And I was responsible for running the engineering school at that university. And then I moved on to being the dean of the School of Information Systems and Technology at another online university. So I've been involved over the last decade or so in academic stuff, teaching as well as academic administration.
Do you have many opportunities to go back and visit Pakistan?
Pakistan, I go every maybe 2 years or so to visit and just collect a lot of music for what I play here at KFAI.
Well, that's my next question. I know that you have a show here on KFAI. You're a co-host.
Right.
So how did that all get started, and how do you know the people that you're co-host with?
Well, that's interesting. The show is Sangam, which is, as I announced it in the program, it's a program of music from South Asia and the South Asian diaspora. So basically, it's Indian Pakistani music. And it turns out that one of the original hosts for the show, Mukhtar Thakur, and I happen to know each other. And he sent an email one day saying, well, he and his co-host, we've been doing the show for, 10 plus years, and, we'd kind of like to have some other people become involved with it. Maybe we'll retire or something like that. Can you please let people know? So I said, fine, yeah, I'll forward this email to people that I know who are interested in music. Well, and I did. And he sent it to a bunch of his contacts, but apparently there wasn't much of a response. So he asked me again, and I said, well, you know what? I'd kind of like to do it. And he said, okay. And so, I went through the board certification at KFAI, and then that's how I ended up doing the show. We had another person involved at that time, but he left in connection with his job. They moved to another city, so it was basically Mukhtar and Sarjeet and I were doing this show, and then Shashi, who's the other co-host, and then Sarjeet moved to Washington, D.C., I believe. So I've been doing it now for about actually quite a long time, 4 to 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So.
And you all seem to have different approaches. I know Mukhtar kind of has like a more of a classical, historical type background in the music. And
yeah, he plays he has a personal collection of Indian film music that goes back 5 decades or more, at least. So he tends to play a lot of that stuff. Shashi plays more of Bhangra kind of music. I feature music from Pakistan, and there'd be a lot of pop, rock, sometimes metal from Pakistan.
Really?
And, yes, and I like it. Yeah, it's great fun. And I also like fusion music, so I look for artists of Pakistani or Indian origin who live and work in the United States or in the UK or anywhere around the world for that matter, or who are making fusion music in their countries of origin. For instance, like the medieval pundits, it's a joke, the MIDI as in MIDI, musical interface for digital. The medieval pundits, they're basically based in Delhi, but they do a lot of fusion stuff. So I like that kind of music as well, and so I feature quite a bit of that.
I don't know if you know, but on Live from Studio 5 last week, we had Nirmala Rajesh.
Yes, I've heard her here.
She was just amazing.
Yes,
and
fabulous.
She's been to KFAI many times. I'm sure she's been on Sangam before.
Yes,
is that right?
Yes. We certainly, and then she does concerts around the Twin Cities as well, and it's a great pleasure to listen to her. She's very good.
I was quite amazed by her performance with the Veena, and she really loves other forms of music as well, different genres and things like that. So, are you a musician at all?
No, I just play music. I enjoy listening to it, and I play music. But no, I don't sing and I don't play an instrument, which is sometimes I wish I did.
Yeah.
But there's so many things to do that, learning an instrument is going to take more time, and I'd really like to be good at it.
Yeah.
So, but meanwhile, with the music program here and other interests that I have, it keeps me pretty busy.
Do you feel music is like a universal medium in the sense it's one of those mediums that we can connect on no matter what our politics are and what our, where we're coming from?
Yeah, it can,
Medium.
especially if it's just the music, because when lyrics are put to the music, I mean, they can definitely have a political bias, political perspective, or various kinds of things. So if people start focusing on the words, assuming they can understand the language in which it's being sung, that can cause polarization, but that typically doesn't happen. More often people like the music, they like the sound, and it is a way of coming together. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So I heard that you're going to be a part of the Fringe Festival this year.
Yes, I am really looking forward to it. I have a show coming up this August. Fringe Festival runs from August 4th through the 14th. And my show dates are 5, 7, 11, 13th, and 14th, which is, people won't remember it, but you can go to the Fringe Festival website, which is Fringe Festival, one word, fringefestival.org. The show is called Change Agent, show number 1399. So you can look for that. And my own website for that is at savali.org, SAVAALI.org. And information about the show is available there as well. So this is my second year at the Fringe. It is a lottery, so it was kind of like, wow. I mean, I won again. It's great. Didn't win any money, but this is really as good. This is as good. I'm happy. So I had a show called That's Sarah Aziz last year, which was just actually not very far from KFAI Studios at Playwright Center.
Oh, sure.
And this year, we'll be performing at the Bryant Lake Bowl on Lake Street in Uptown.
Will you give us some background on your play, Change Agent?
The plays that I am interested in, theater is really a mechanism for me to explore questions of identity and tension, intercultural and intracultural tension. So I wrote the script this year for the play, and basically it's focusing on the issue of who defines the identity of an individual and of a group. So it features basically a grad student, surprise, who as a volunteer starts to teach at a Sunday school, where it's basically religious schooling, traditions of the faith, a little bit of scripture and so on and so forth. But at the heart of it is it's centered around the Muslim community. And what the protagonist wants to do is to teach children, primarily from immigrant groups, but anybody else who's interested in this material or folks living here, she wants to ground their religious education in an American context, because we are living in America. We are Americans. And so the way we approach our religion and how we implement it, so to speak, needs to be within the American context. And so her desire to do this creates some tension between her and more people who take a more traditionalist approach. And that's sort of part of the storyline. Beyond that, there are a couple of love triangles that are intersecting, and so there's human element and drama and comedy, and there's some funny scenes in the play about tension between people who are interacting with each other as people, and these issues of identity and cultural tension get wrapped up in all of these issues. It's not edutainment; it's basically entertainment that makes you think.
What is your writing process, and how did you come up with this concept for your play?
Well, these questions of identity, of how one fits within a culture, and by culture here I'm not talking about simply the culture in terms of music or arts or literature or writing, but culture even of subgroups. Like I mentioned to you that my background in education is in engineering, right? So there is an engineering culture, and there is a humanities culture, and in fact C.P. Snow talked about the science culture and the arts culture way back in his book about the clash between the two cultures. So culture in the sense are the modes of thinking and behavior of any group of people who are sort of organized around a set of concepts. So these issues of culture and identity, and how many identities can one have, and who gets to define one's identity, have been concepts that have been in my mind for quite a number of years. The idea of actually exploring them within the context of Muslims and Pakistanis basically surfaced since, post 9/11, right? Because, that was a transforming moment globally, in a sense. I mean, certainly for the United States, and certainly for countries where Muslims are in majority. And in Pakistan, which is a state at the front line of the war and terror. So the idea of wanting to explore these issues